Armageddon, ready for an excellent podcast. It's the Large Blast podcast. I'm your host, Stoney, and I'm joined, as always, by Welshie.
I haven't thought of anything to say.
And Matt.
Who named this planet?
And we're here today to talk about all things Warhammer, and we like to get things kicked off with a little something we call Hobbies Goings On, where we take a little look at the hobbies that be going on in our lives. So, Welshie, what's been happening in your hobby life?
Well, I finished that Dreadnought. I don't know if you saw the little short of it, but people seem to have liked the fact that I did do freehand. After saying I didn't have time to do freehand because I was building a kitchen, I actually did just freehand the decals on the shoulders. So I did a little third edition Crusade banner on there, which was good fun. And I've started painting Celeborn from the Lord of the Rings, the old metal Celeborn, Galadriel's husband, because I'm still angry that he's not involved in Rings of Power.
Oh, I don't know who that is. I didn't understand any of those words you just said.
You know, in Lord of the Rings, the film.
Okay, we're getting down to this level, are we now? We're getting down to... Okay, right.
You know, when Galadriel's there.
This is the one, Lord of the Rings, that's the one with the guy, the little kid that goes to the wizard school.
That's it.
And he's got that thing on his head.
I understand your confusion now. You're thinking of Dumbledore. This is
yeah, no, not Dumb and Dumber. I've seen that one. I don't know. We're on different wavelengths, I think, on that bit.
All right, well, scrap the Lord of the Rings talk. I finished a Dreadnought, and that was fun. And shout out to, well, we should mention the channel changes, I suppose.
That's right, Large Blast podcast listener. We now have 3 YouTube channels, and that's not confusing at all for reasons I will now explain. We still have the podcast channel unchanged. The old Large Blast Studio channel is now all Welsh's tutorial videos and it's called Large Blast Shorts. The more traditional long-form content like Stoney's model making videos are now on a new Large Blast Studio channel called Large Blast Studio. So go over there and subscribe now for a chance to win a commemorative plate and a bag of chicken.
I'm going to do that right now.
And also a big shout out to the regular YouTube commentators, Captain Lazyjack, Jason Skellner, Alexandra Nicole, and the bossmen Jeff and Case Co. As well as all the regular commentators on Welsh's short videos that has helped push that to over 20,000 subscribers.
Smoke weed every day.
And anyone else who comments or shares or anything like that. Listeners like you really are the wind beneath our wings. Matt, what have you been up to?
It's still been like little bits of painting every evening, which is nice.
Anything good coming along? Nights?
Same stuff, really. It's all. I started painting some more of the Space Marine characters from the 9th edition box set.
Oh man, we've got 11th on the way. You're a whole edition
behind.
Try
and finish that set. I've been pleasantly surprised by. There's obviously lots of stuff been going on since we last recorded. Lots of news, but also Games Workshop have finally been recording videos live from events, which really I don't know why they haven't done before. So obviously we've just had Adepticon, and the Warhammer YouTube has posted a couple of videos about Golden Demon. Which have been pretty good. But even better than that, there have been videos going up live on Warhammer Plus interviewing Golden Demon entrants before the judges make their decisions. I think by the time they were live, they'd made the decisions, but they were recorded before the people knew what they were getting. There's about 10 artists. There's a couple of videos. And they're just the guy from Games Workshop is just talking to them, interviewing them about what went into the job. They've got the piece. They're talking about the piece. There's a couple of people that I'm aware of from YouTube. There's a couple of guys on there that have won lots of Golden Demons. There's a couple of guys on there that are relatively new. And then it tells you at the end what they get. I can't believe it's taken them this long to have stuff like that on Warhammer Plus because they have all of these events. They have all of the material there, and it just feels like they're finally doing something with it. You know,
sounds
it's a private
X Factory, a bit like, you know, Britain's Got Talent or something, where they do a little interview with them.
It's done all right.
Yeah, I know. I imagine it's still done. I imagine it's done in a Games Workshop, a restrained Games Workshop fashion. Like not being interviewed by Anton Deck before, like, Gav Thorpe flies in on a fucking rope and gives them a Golden Demon award.
Yeah.
Although that would be excellent. They should do that.
it's just, and there's videos and photos of the people making them and painting them in some cases, showing you progress. And this is all in essentially in real time, not months later, which is really great.
That's cool.
And yeah,
some great entries this year.
Yeah, the pieces that I've seen
Did you
are
see
just
the
mind-blowing.
Did you see the gaunt in the big scale in the open?
Yeah,
Large
yeah,
scale gaunt.
yeah,
that was crazy good.
Utterly insane.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to see more stuff like that. And I hope that they tie that in with other stuff that's coming in this year, where they use the Warhammer Plus platform for more things like that, which I just think makes total sense. And the Sisters animation that they have on that I mentioned before, that I watched the first one of. There's 3 episodes up, and it's not the end. There's more, and it's really good. The trainee initiate, I can't remember what they're called. She's about to get put into a mortifier, which I think, is it a mortifier? The souped up penitent engines.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that I really want to see in an animation. Like,
is that the one with the like sarcophagus? Right?
With
the iron nails. Yeah.
So okay. She's at the end of the 3rd episode. She's freaking out, and this sarcophagus opens, and that's the end of the episode. And it's like, yes, this is the stuff. Yeah, this is the stuff I want to see. Don't leave me the Space Marines and the orcs in it.
It's an Iron Maiden, isn't it? That's what it's called. That's the word.
Yeah, that is what it's called.
It's called an Iron Maiden,
and that's not the name of the. I'm sure the vehicle.
No, you're right. It is called but the actual box in it is an Iron Maiden, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was never a thing that really existed, was it?
No, they
trivia things. It was like a Victorian pretend invention from the past.
Yeah.
Anyway, Stoney, what have you been up to?
I finished doing that Big Bot Bash thing.
Cool video, by the way. I enjoyed that.
Thank you. So I did a Big Bot Bash. Everyone needs to see that. Get over to the new channel and check it out. It's over there. That's right. Remember to subscribe to Large Blast Studios now for a chance to win that commemorative plate and bag of chicken. The plate is Sonic the Hedgehog themed, and the bag of chicken was donated by local kebab store Abracababra and has a sell-by date of 3 days, so act fast! I'm getting ready for my next project, which is going to be finishing off the first lot of my Gene Stealer Corporation. So I've been getting that ready, so that's going to be fun. So hopefully it'll be at the end of the month, a release of 10 models and maybe 2 vehicles, potentially 2, at least 1,
amazing,
if not 2. So that's going to be good.
Is it going to be released before the vehicle we're probably going to look at in a minute, which you may not have seen?
Cool. The suspense is killing me now. But anyway, so I'm getting ready to fire that up again, fire up ZBrush after a bit of hands-on stuff. So getting ready to nerd it out. My mouse arm ready, my repetitive strain glove on. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get back in the office and do some computer shit.
Modelling at middle age, that's what we want.
Oh, yeah.
Finance, cutting-edge technology. Accurate information is the Large Blast podcast news. Hear every episode.
The hills are alive with the sound of lying, because for April Fools, there was a fake musical put on by the Games Workshop staff, and it looks pretty good, actually, right? They did a whole little musical number. Everyone's pretty impressed by it.
It was a lot of effort. I know Matt and I were talking to each other about it earlier. Yeah, it had like 3 songs, didn't it, Matt, in the little trailer? It was about 2.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
Live action.
I think at first I thought it was just going to be the poster and maybe an article about it, but it was like properly they had lots of different people dressed up in their cosplay on stage dancing and singing to songs. It was like mad that they've done that. Just
it was
for
so
April
good
Fools.
as well. Like that little Fagin. They had a little Fagin-esque number in the middle, Stoney, with Trazin talking about how he was going to collect everything in a kind of like hoppity Fagin way, and then they had a big kind of overture with a sister singing about her love for the Emperor at the end, and it's worth a watch. It was a lot of effort for an April Fool's.
Yeah, well, it's good that they're still doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. They've still got a budget in the social media team. I think that is clear at this stage.
Dropping off more models than Rod Stewart on a Sunday morning. Games Workshop have been going mental with their releases recently. We've had model after model after model coming out. It's like the whole year's worth, and they're all banger after banger for the most part.
Absolutely, Stoney. 2 big reveals from Adepticon. The first of which was this massive end campaign, which we've seen loads of models for, set on Armageddon, which may or may not be the theme of today's episode. I was excited by this Adepticon reveal. I know one of the other members of the panel is going to be very excited by some of the later bits, but I thought we'd start with this mental orc, being as you and I have both done a Doom Rider recently. This is Wazdaka Gutsmek.
Yeah, he's real cool. He's real nice. The cool blast out the back and the smoke and everything is really cool.
It's like the most orky biker. Do you remember the other day we were saying how much we love the like squat bikers with the like 2 machine guns out, the 2 shooters out the side?
Yeah.
Like how many decades away we are from that, and I think the model design really has improved.
It's funny. I think before we've had discussions where we've said we haven't liked the modeling of smoke and stuff on some of the models, but I think this kind of warrants it. This is cool.
This is perfect. This is I think they really went through a phase of everything having smoke on, and it got a bit overused. Like remember, there'd be models that would just be like a normal Terminator, and then it would just have like a bowl on its head with smoke coming out of it, and you'd just be like, what the fuck's going on there? What's the point in that? But this is excellent use of kind of power and stuff, which I think is something that Games Workshop have toned in a little bit recently. But this is the perfect use of it. Just great.
Yeah, I think it's you see so many of these things now. There's these companies that like make stick-on gun effects and stick-on blast effects and stuff like that, which obviously GW's realised there's a market for. Like a massive percentage of pictures of people's models that you see all over the place have these bits stuck on. So I think it's cool that they're leaning into it. I'm not massively into the smoke. I like the explosion bit, the kind of sonic boom, but I think the smoke still looks a little bit too like anime for me. But I love the bike, just the motion.
I think the smoke
orkiness.
I like the composition of the smoke. I think that helps a lot with that, and it will, because it's obviously on one side, so I think that will look really cool as when you see the model in 3D. But I like it a lot.
The bike is cool. I know we've spoken mostly about the smoke.
Oh shit! I wasn't even looking. There's a bike up there. Fuck, that's pretty cool, boys.
The bike and the orc are great.
Yeah, and he's a great character. He's been around in the background for a long time. This is the fella that got on his bike and said, "I'm not going to get off my bike until I've warred across the entire galaxy." But he's been held up by the warp rift. But now Gaz has got teleporters. He reckons he can carry on. That's this guy's backstory. I
can't believe they included him with this cool smoke model as well. That's awesome. That's really good bit of kit value there.
So obviously there's orcs on Armageddon, but GW dropped a load of other stuff. The first of which was what I may have been referring to earlier, Stoney, the Centaur Vigilance, which is the transport for a new commissar on Armageddon, Commissar Graves. This isn't so much a limo as one of those like stretch Hummers.
Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of like got kind of a train thing going on in the back half.
I've longed for an Imperial Guard half track for years. 20 years ago, they used to have a section in the Games Workshop website where it would ask for model ideas, and I used to blitz it with Imperial Guard half track, Imperial Guard half track, Imperial Guard half track. Yeah, the Taurus thing for the Tempestus didn't really crack it for me, but these are pretty cool. And the thing I love about this Commissar one in particular is that Commissar tanks have been around for a long time. In the Imperial armor lists that you could use, you could always select an Imperial Guard Commissar tank as an option, and people would paint them black. So they'd have black Lehman Russes with a Commissar. Forge World used to sell a range of Commissar torsos.
Doesn't Yarrick have one called Arrogance? Hasn't he got his own Bane blade?
Yeah, he does. So this is I'm down for this. I think this is cool. Slightly over the top, but it is a Commissar tank. I think this is cool. And the character, so I think it's a she. Is it a she?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. No women in Warhammer though.
It's got that like Joan of Arc going on, where it could be like a 14-year-old boy or a lady. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, very true. But you can you can have it in this, and then they've released or previewed a model of her just alone on foot, which I also think is quite nice.
She's got one of those
yeah.
cool. I like the human-sized power fists that they do
Yeah.
on some of the guard models. I think they look really cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I think you're right, Stony. I think it is too big to be a limo, but when I saw the silhouette, I thought, oh god, they've done it.
It's got that kind of Gaddafi vibes to it.
So the next character that was revealed at this was a new, really out there Inquisitor called Inquisitor Croyle, riding some kind of 6-legged Xenos beast horse, looking full conquistador. Really out there Inquisitor model.
Yeah, crazy. The mount is just mental when you start looking at it, which I haven't really done until now. It's got like 6 legs. Fucking quality.
Yeah, I like his raised rock as well. I think that's a good design feature.
Kind of looks a bit familiar.
Looks a little bit like an Inquisitor that there's a video of over on our studios channel.
Nah, I don't think it does. I think it's legally distinct.
GW producing legally distinct models since Judge Dredd.
Exactly.
This
Lord of the Rings range. Complete rip-offs, all of them.
This guy, I like the fact that there's like a really out there Xenos guy, but I do think like the actual Inquisitor himself is a bit off the money for me. Like, I like the kind of old Judge look Inquisitors, but this guy looks so Sigma to be like so.
I kind of think he goes with
40k. He looks like maybe a rogue trader.
But for me, he kind of goes with his horse thing, at least in the way it's painted, because it looks like he's from some kind of jungle-y type Amazon. Like, that beast that didn't come from the city. I don't think he's been out there in the wilds.
That's true. But I'm probably going to get one of these and kit bash it.
I think it is also, and the head is always the easiest bit to change out if you wanted to put something else on.
It does come without a helmet if you don't like the big feather. So,
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, he's got an alternate head sculpt in there.
I like he's actually making a kind of a fragua out of the horse there. You don't realize it, but that's he's got a kind of a gas mask thing on his horse, but he's actually just pumping in fine grains, and then he gets out if he gets too hungry out there on the road, he's got some lovely fragua in his what is it, the liver? Is it the liver? I can't.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, fatty liver. You're just giving them essentially.
He looks like that kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely eats foie gras if he's not making his own. But it wasn't the only beast to be revealed. There's also 2 new Imperial Guard vehicles.
Yeah, these are also. I mean, one of them is basically just the non-commissar version to the half track. It's basic. Real World War II vibes with this thing, and the little scout car, the armored fighting vehicle. That is so good, and everyone. I wouldn't say was going nuts on the Imperial Guard Facebook page, but they were posting. There's a classic army, again from about 20 years ago, where one of the guys from White Dwarf had converted his whole army to have Chimera transports with wheels on, and then you could buy some conversion kits on company, third-party sellers were selling conversion kits where you could turn your Chimera into this. I think the consensus is among the Guard community that this stuff is really good. Probably better than the Rogel Dawn tank in terms of new releases. This to me is classic Guard. It fits right in with the ranges that have existed for decades.
This feels like in our last episode we were talking about is Warhammer toys, right? These are like little toys to me. These look like toy tanks. And I remember having a little toy tank pretty similar to this without the guy in the top.
I think that's probably in some ways what I mean by World War II vibe.
Yeah, I love them.
They are like.
They've also. Did you see, Matt, that they've put together a really nice battle force that doesn't reuse loads of old things?
Yeah,
so they're going to have I think 2 of the wheeled ones, 2 half tracks, and a Rogel Dawn.
Oh,
none of which I own, and are all going in my Genestealer Cult army. So
definitely.
I can tell you,
pinpoint targeted that directly at Matt, that box, didn't
Yeah.
they? That was like
Well-
you were involved in the focus group. You were person 1, 2 to 5 in there.
Me and literally tens of thousands of other guys. That was the real thing that seemed to get traction with these releases on the Guard community, was that battalion or whatever it's called box set, where everyone was like, I'm buying this, I'm buying this, I'm buying this. And I was looking at that thinking, well, one day I want to get a Rogue of Dawn, check.
Yeah.
Plus I want to get these new things, check.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting this. I'm going to pre-order this.
I'm
Sold.
so glad I didn't buy a Rogue of Dawn yet.
Yeah.
Ah, man. Yeah,
They've probably sold at least 30,000 of these sets already.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. And I also think the thing I love about the wheeled one is that it to me it lends itself so much to Catachan. It just gives off like massive Catachan vibes.
Was it 11th edition? 11th edition is coming out. And it's a bit like 2nd edition, but it's been rebooted. Freebooted. Orc freebooters, right? Because they're in it.
The orcs
Plus
are definitely
Blood Angels, or whatever you choose to paint them as.
Is that the biggest news about this? Because it's not a new planet, it's not a new place, it's not a new concept, but it's been a bloody long time since Ultramarines weren't on the box.
I mean, it's been since 3rd edition.
Yeah, 2nd edition was.
No, 3rd edition was Templars.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was like, I remember when I very first started playing, which was around that time, Blood Angels were like the boys. They were like the Ultramarines initially. And then the Ultramarines came along and they got that big release with like Calgar and everything. And everyone was just like, right, no, these are the boys now.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to admit something. After how many years have we been doing this podcast? 3 and a bit years, maybe more.
Oh, we don't look old enough. Surely not.
Moaning about constant Ultramarines, and I've realised I don't like the red. I don't like Blood Angels painted in the Blood Angels red.
What?
I don't like it. I
can't win with this one, can you, Matt? What's going on here?
The new dark blue Ultramarine.
What?
I think these look really tacky.
Oh,
no,
mate.
no.
So no. I'm putting my foot down. I'm using my veto, my large blast veto that we all have one of, right?
Do you know? I mean, I do like the reds. I've always had a liking for the Blood Angels. I don't dislike the Ultramarines, but the thing that I kind of, I didn't really like the video. The Ultramarine videos that they've had for the last few editions have been really good. The last one was Gulliman, and this one just didn't really. Don't know, just the Blood Angel commander that had the fangs, and I don't know, it just didn't really hit the same. I don't think.
Oh, no, this is why they took over. This is what happened between when they were the boys last time. They fumbled the bag. This is why you can't hand it back to them. You need the stalwart Ultramarines in the limelight.
So all that we've seen on the Space Marine side of this box so far is this one model that real armor mark nerds are going a little bit mad about, because it involves kind of Primaris sized but influenced by multiple marks of previous Space Marine armor. So back to an older style helmet. They've done away with knees, which is a bugbear of mine. I like my Space Marines with knees. I know old Rogue Trader models didn't have knees, but I like circular knees to paint up and put icons on.
Yeah, I think I like knees as well. You know, having slagged off knees only a couple of episodes ago, I think that actually on armor, I like knees.
I'm looking at the what appears to be a captain on the box set. He appears to have round knees, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, it's different armor marks. Some armor marks have
yeah.
knees. It's not like it's a new versus old. It's just,
yeah.
I prefer my Space Marines with knees, I've learned.
Depends if he's a skateboarder or not. Doing extreme sports, you need the knee pads.
We should say that this was a LBP prediction that there was going to be an Armageddon campaign. Maybe not for the 11th set, but we've been going on about it since Angron appeared, because he's linked to the planet.
We haven't had a solid out there prediction from the LBP for a while. Should we make one now? Like, what is 12th edition going to look like?
Vulcan.
It's going to be Vulcan.
Because he's linked to
Vulcan
Armageddon.
Vulcan versus Phantom Emperor.
Yeah, what if? Yes, Vulcan is linked to Armageddon. I reckon we all get on board with Vulcan. The return of Vulcan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vulcan will be 12th. That's what we're saying. He's our next guy coming back.
So there is some rules news, boys, and I know that we aren't playing much at the moment of 10th edition, but even us who aren't fully into the tournament play at the moment will acknowledge some of these changes are quite big changes they've announced for 11th edition.
Yes.
So let me just run through a couple. Objectives.
Yeah.
Objectives are no longer going to be 40mm circles that you need to be 3 inches away from. They will be replaced by specific pieces of terrain. That is big.
What does that mean? So you have
to hold an objective, you hold a piece of terrain.
When they say specific piece, they mean as in purchased from Games Workshop.
Well, I guess that's part of it, but I guess you could say this piece of terrain when you're playing.
Just get the measurements if you were pedantic.
But in the video that they published, it looked almost. I swear they had like a cardboard cutout just of a plan of a building.
They did. I think there might be things like that, or that instead of all being circles, it might be like. Do you remember they used to make like armory stores and things like that you could put down?
Yeah, so you have the footprint of the building that you buy a cheap thing of, and then you can just build terrain like you would.
Yeah.
I almost cheered when I heard this because I think the objective markers was really something that put me off playing the game.
It made it so. I don't want to gamified is not the right word, but it was an unnarrative way of playing. You have to hold this circle in the middle of nowhere with nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's positive. If I'm trying to be really positive about this, then maybe it's a way of bringing back in like people making their own terrain. And being like,
you can hope so.
Like releasing, just saying like, okay, these are the dimensions that you need to have as a piece of terrain, and then obviously not everyone, like obviously like I don't know what, like 30% of the people that hear this are going to be like, right, I'm going to buy this really overpriced piece of terrain. Ka-ching, Games Workshop are bang in, right? Everybody else is just going to be like, right, I've got a couple of Pringles tubes and a bit of bog roll. I'm going to fucking knock up my own. So maybe we'll see a whole new blossoming of the terrain building world.
Definitely. So the next rule that they previewed is a new thing called Stay Hidden, which makes the Tyrannid player in me go a little bit mad. Units entirely within terrain that haven't shot that turn cannot be targeted beyond 15 inches. So no longer are you going to hide your Tyrannids in a bit of terrain and get shot from the other side of the board before you do anything. If you do not shoot, you're essentially sneaking around. You can just be in the terrain. You can't get wiped off the board. Amazing for melee armies.
Yeah, man. I mean, I always used to play melee armies, so I get it. I want to sneak around. I don't want to get shot. That's when I do my worst, is when I get shot.
Definitely. New cover. So cover provides a -1 to hit rather than an addition to your save. That's just a tweak.
We're all going back to previous editions, but I think it's good. I think it's good.
This is massive because I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think this has ever been the rule. Melee enhancements. Charges are decided after rolling your charge dice. It's no longer gamble on a 10-inch charge. You roll your charge distance and then you decide who you're charging. That is huge change to the way Warhammer works.
That kind of sounds a bit like it could come from fantasy in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think that's ever been in 40k. That's mad. So hang on. So you roll 2 dice and then you see how far you can go and pick a target.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have to then move? I don't know.
I don't know. They haven't clarified that. But that is really quite.
That is big.
Again,
that's really big
boost for melee armies.
Definitely, because it's not an all or nothing. Then you can't be like, right, I'm going to charge. It's like I've got these guys that are like 4 inches away from me, or these guys that are like 12 inches away from me. I really want to attack the 12 inches guy, but it's such a do or die. It's
I think it makes it more narrative in that instance where like you knew you could get away with the 9 inches, but then suddenly you roll a massive roll. And you're like, actually, fuck it, I'm going all the way.
Yeah.
I'm going all in.
Yeah,
baby.
exactly. I like that. I think that's cool. But again, that's because I play melee armies, so that might be. If you're a Tau player, you're probably like, curses, fuck this.
Well, I reckon the counter to that would be maybe all of those units could Overwatch. Who knows?
Yeah,
I think that's good though, because I like that idea, because you could have 3 targets, and if you're Tyranids, if you roll low, it kind of doesn't make much sense that they just stop.
Yeah.
It kind of makes the game seem more realistic, that you fumble your roll, you get a low roll, but you can still hit that target that's actually really near you, even though you didn't want to charge it, you still can. I think that sounds like that'd be a good rule.
Yeah,
this one,
and it won't change if you're like, you're just charging one target anyway. If there's only one person in you, be exactly the same rule. So,
and this one, the last one that I thought was worth mentioning. This one's really big for me, and I know, Matt, this used to do your head in as well with all your little bits of paper. Stratagem limitation. Only one stratagem can be used per unit per phase.
Yeah.
So this concept of stacking stratagem on stratagem on stratagem for a single unit, where they've got +1 to hit with this, +1 attack, and you can't keep track of it all, that's going to be gone. So that definitely is a streamlining thing. However, they are going to introduce 70 new detachments. So they're really doubling down on, we're never going back to the old ways of being able to understand what your opponent can and can't do, because there's so many detachments out there now. But it seems like, for me, as a melee mainly player, those are all good things. They are moving slightly more narrative. I mean, I'd prefer they brought back armor sidings and blast templates and all of the real narrative stuff. But none of those I'm thinking are awful changes. I think they're all quite interesting.
The thing that I'm most excited about is the new app.
Is there a new app?
Ooh, the new app.
They've said there's a new. It's the only thing that I can remember, other than the fact that I thought it sounded genuinely quite interesting, is that the app is designed for you to use it while you play. So it's not just where rules are, but it's interactive with it can be interactive with your opponent. You use it to record all the scores, record everything in game on their app.
I've always said they should make an app. I
think we've mentioned it before.
Yeah, I think it'd be a really good idea. It doesn't even sound like it would be that hard a job. I'm sure they won't fuck it up completely.
But if they're already talking about that now, hopefully that means that when this comes out, that'll be a fully fledged thing. So the box set drops, the rule book drops. The app drops.
They will have opened up the new app office inside. They will have brushed out all the shite left over from the old app, the bones of the old app developers that were left in there from before, and ushered in a new wave.
Fingers crossed. I'm sure we'll be talking about this again.
Well, this is going to give us another couple of years worth of content, I reckon, boys, if it's anything like the old one. So this is basically confirmation that Perturabo is coming back. There's a big drawing of him looking very army, a bit like a kind of twisted dentist chair. And we're ready. we're ready to see it. We're ready to see him return home.
The artwork's promising. He is massive. They do this with all the Demon Primates, though, don't they? Make them take up like the whole landscape, but it's definitely promising. How you say his army? I can count maybe 7 separate arms there.
It makes sense.
You'd need that many if you were him.
And it looks like one of those.
So hard, he needs different arms.
It looks like one of those new Imperial Guard tanks is being thrown through the air.
Yeah, it does.
Right at you. That's symbolism to like make you want to buy it. For some reason, he's throwing new Games Workshop products at me. They're like flying out of the book.
When we've sold enough of these new tanks, we'll release me. And then you have to buy me as well.
Yeah.
It's because he's been volunteering at the museum every weekend repairing them.
He's coming back, and it said that basically he wants to do, like they used to use donjons, like small castles, as you advance your forces forwards. That's basically Perturabo's plan to get to Terra by slowly expanding and making fortified worlds in a kind of concentric rings out from where he's starting on Medrengard. So, and I think this is going to be set at the Cadian Gate. I think he's coming back and he's starting by fortifying the Cadian
Yeah,
Gate
'cause
and
that's where
moving
he
outwards
is.
from there.
Yeah.
So
Rolling in my 6-4.
Armageddon, the end times, the finale, the fat lady sings, put all the chairs up on the table. It's Armageddon. Well, so when you call your planet that, right, you know you're in for decades and decades of war. And that's what we're talking about. Decades of war on the poor little planet of Armageddon. So first we need to get a bit of history on this planet, right? And who better to do that than Welshie? Welshie, what have you got about history on Armageddon?
well, I'm going to take you guys back to a planet 560,000 BC. Deep in the equatorial jungle, a pyramid resides, made of smooth metals with no visible joins. Fast forward 590,000 years to M31, and a troop of inquisitive orc boys are exploring the jungle. They stumble across it. As neither brutal or cunning, they sack it off and return to the grog pits outside the jungle at the foot of a massive orc complex, the center of Warbus Ulrak Urg's empire.
Hang on a minute. Aren't you talking about Ullanor?
No. That is until the full wrath of the Imperium comes crashing down on this orc planet, led by Horus Lupercal.
Horus
Lupercal lands on this planet of orcs and destroys the Xenos threat, wipes them out.
I think, have we fucked it again, boys? You know that we sometimes get our research fucked, right? Is that like, have we done it? Sometimes people point fingers at this podcast and say, hey, and you know what? I put my hands up. I'm partly responsible for it as well. Some of the research is not the sturdiest.
No, Stoney, you've got to trust me.
Oh, I trust you.
I know what we're talking about.
You're the one that usually spot on with them.
It's
with
fine.
The research.
So to celebrate this victory, the Admech land and they clear a continent. They literally make a continent flat and they polish a 5 by 500 kilometer mirror smooth pathway on which to hold the triumph of the triumph of Ullanor.
Ullanor.
Yeah. The triumph of Ullanor.
But what's the victory? So Horus fights all the orcs.
Horus fights the orcs.
Massive war.
And there's a massive war, and they come and there's a triumph.
What are we even talking about anymore? I thought this was the Armageddon episode.
Well, hang on, let me carry on. So there's some more stuff about this planet, Ullanor. It's really good. This triumph. There's 9 Primarchs there, guys. So that's
this is the famous artwork, isn't it?
That's pretty fun. Horus goes back there later with his evil brothers, and they muster before heading towards Terra. They'd sacrifice 1 in 10 of their slaves to get safe passage.
On Ullanor?
I'm sure this will get relevant soon. Hang on. 1,500 years later, there's another orc called the Beast, and he arrives and makes it his home world. There's more here. Vulcan comes, kills the Beast. Oh, but there's actually 6 beasts, more orcs. The Imperial forces divert asteroids to try and destroy this planet, but it doesn't succeed. A bloke called Maximus Thane, he might be relevant to Armageddon, orders Exterminatus, but instead the fabricator general of the time, Kubik, reverse engineers the orc technology. Oh, here we are, and teleports Ullanor to a secret location in the Segmentum Solar.
Ooh.
Everyone forgets about it until it's renamed Armageddon.
Oh, who did that? Who named it that?
It's lost information. Nobody knows that little secret history. I realised I dug this out the bottom of the filing cabinet, boys.
I feel like I've heard all of that before, right? Is that not is that? I feel like I've heard that before.
Well, that's because we're in the know.
Oh, I forgot.
From the outside,
we're clued up. I forget. Yeah. I forget. It's when you're this clued up, you forget other people aren't as clued up as you. You know.
We'd obviously all just forgotten that there is a link, but that's right, listener. That might have been a bit of a farce, but Ullanor, the massive central important planet in all things Horus Heresy, was literally teleported across the galaxy, and that is the actual physical space body that goes on to become
So,
Armageddon that we're talking about today.
yeah, I'd forgotten that it was teleported because it plays a massive role in the early Horus Heresy novels, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's huge, and I think that as we go on to talk about actual Armageddon as we know it, anything that GW wants to do in the lore, they basically got a free pass. There's so much artifact and history and stuff buried beneath the surface of this planet after 10,000 years of war that, you know, all of the Primarchs were once there. That little bit I told you at the start was from a white dwarf back in 2002. So when the Necron Codex was released, they had a little bit about Armageddon that the orcs stumbled upon, essentially a monolith in the jungle. So the Necrons might be buried deep under Armageddon. All of the Primarchs were there. There was obviously some dark, evil, chaos shit where they did this massive conjuring.
So does anybody live on this planet? Is there like any towns or anything going on there, like hive cities or anything?
So that period was basically all just orcs, then not orcs, then orcs, then not orcs.
And millions upon millions of orcs.
Like massive. It was so Ullanor, the Ullanor Crusade, the reason they have the triumph there is that it's the biggest orc force that's been destroyed. It's when Horus becomes War Master because he led the force that finally wiped the orcs out. But the orcs are like fungus, right? They just keep
it's like Glastonbury for orcs, that place, isn't it?
Yeah. And the like hidden tech thing, there's a conversation in one of the books with Gabriel Seth talking to an Inquisitor, and there's thoughts that there might be like a massive Imperator Titan, like a Horus one, hidden somewhere under the surface of Armageddon, which is what's drawing the orcs, unbeknownst over and over again. That's kind of alluded to. So you have this buried history there that literally no one is aware of in the modern day.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like been rumors that it could be even the orc homeworld.
Yeah, like maybe the original birthplace. Maybe there's Krork under there. Like it's carte blanche to do whatever you want with it, which is cool.
Yeah, the thing I can't quite remember from your timeline just now was the War of the Beast, which is obviously a massive conflict in the early Imperium. So that happened on Ullanor before Ullanor was teleported.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, that was that's the like implication from what I was reading.
Yeah, because that could have been like Imperium
I think that's
ending.
like M32.
Yeah.
And that's where like Vulcan, I haven't read those books. I believe it's a book series, isn't it? The War of the Beast. I think there's like at least the trilogy. And I haven't read it, but I believe
like
Vulcan is the one that goes in and takes out one of the super orcs, but gets hurt or damaged, or maybe even that's when Vulcan disappears.
I think that is. I think he's linked to this planet.
So that's where you had your shout earlier about
until he comes back as the next Primarch after Perturabo, obviously, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
There's this cool hidden history for sure.
Yeah. I can't remember who the loyalist Primarchs were that were in that triumph. And the other thing I wondered was whether they really make a point, as far as I remember, in the Horus Heresy Black Library books to stress how much work went in for the Mechanicum and the Minotaurum to flatten this enormous area of this planet.
Yeah, 5 million servitors.
They really
is what they had to polish. It said on there that they used geoformers, which I guess are big tanks, to do the initial smoothing, and then they used 5 million servitors to like hand buff the granite surface for the parade ground.
And
sledgehammers and 5 million servitors.
It kind of made me wonder whether they may try to write in elements into the new 40k lore in Armageddon of like a weirdly flat area of planet where you're fighting over this like marble finished stone surface.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and I was looking because I thought that
just on
a
Zambezi, like just polishing it up.
Like, I thought that because I thought I've seen like maps of Armageddon exist, right? And I was like, well, where? Surely, if there's this massive continent-sized flat place,
no skateboarding. Fuck off with that skateboarding.
Exactly. They've got those little knobs, so you can't do any.
Yeah, it's everywhere. That's how unfun the Imperium is.
But when you look at the map today, and I guess we can start by just talking roughly about the geography.
Yeah,
It's
I wanted to talk
essentially
about that.
3 continents, isn't it? There's
Yeah,
the fire wastes, which are largely unmapped. So I guess that
Up the
gives them
north.
room to like
Yeah.
explore. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's all buried in that area and the fire wastes haven't been explored. And then there's also the Deadlands, which are on the other side of the
Oh, okay. So it's
planet.
getting even better down there. Okay,
Yeah,
what are they
and that-
like?
Like cold.
Who named that?
It was really cold. Oh,
It's
shit.
really cold.
Fuck.
But then pretty much everything that you ever read.
And this place is a
happens.
travel agent's nightmare, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
right, okay, guys,
what
I know
about
you've
the,
only got a couple hundred. Let's
what
go.
about the
Have you ever
place-
thought about Armageddon? We've got the Deadlands, we've got the Burning Waste, we've got the Dismal Abyss,
Oh, Ali.
Satan's Toilet.
Well, Stony, the those posters that GamesWorks used to make. I've got literally an Armageddon travel poster where it's like visit Armageddon, and there's I think it's like a picture of like the wastes but in the background.
Oh, yeah,
But the
maybe
other
you can get a boat
the
to go
boiling
swim.
sea, that place sounds
Sounds
nice.
great.
Oh, yeah, that sounds awesome. I guess we've got a place called the Dead Sea people go to. So
That's
maybe-
true.
but that's in isolation, though. That's kind of ironic. You know,
Yeah.
it's full of like delicious salt, not boiling hot pitch.
So if the boiling hot pitch and the frozen wastes aren't up your alley, the main section and most of the stories and things that we discuss going forward are happening on the main continent, which is
Yeah.
divided into 2 by the equatorial jungle. So you have the prime Armageddon Prime on one side of the jungle, and you
That's
have
the
Armageddon Secundus on the other side.
Yeah. So they're all part of the same landmass, but they're split by jungle. I've written here so this is certainly by the time it's 40k. I don't know about the first war of Armageddon, but certainly by the second war, there's on Armageddon Prime, there's Hive Tempestora, Hive Deathmire, and Hive Volcanus, with the possibility of a 4th destroyed one. And Armageddon Secundus has 5 large hives, which are Hell's Reach, Infernus, Hades Hive, Hive Acheron, and Hive Tartarus.
Armageddon.
So lots of hives.
Armageddon,
Indeed.
a volcanus after visiting the fire wastes, mate.
Imagine being born in the Deathmire. I've come from
sounds pretty
Deathmire
bad.
next to the boiling
Oh,
sea,
man.
just south of the fire wastes.
Well, it's definitely similar, Matt. And I'll just go through the first war for Armageddon briefly. So there are hives on either side. There is civilization on either side of this jungle. They're split from the jungle. People do cross it. It's not like uncrossable, but it's not easy. And the
planet's
first,
got kind of a jungle Brazilian down the middle.
that's right. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
may or may not have a Necron monolith just sitting in the middle of it. You got to find that. Then you're really onto a winner. Just at the bottom of the Brazilian is a little
Yeah,
That's
little
where,
place
that's
on
where it
monolith.
is. That's
If
where
you
that's
give
how
that
you
a good
unlock
rub,
the secret
you'll be
ghouls.
fine. So what happens in the first war for Armageddon is there's kind of a cult uprising kind of simultaneously across the planet. So Chaos Cult uprising all happens, and essentially in Hive Secundus they get the cult uprising under control. In Armageddon Prime they don't. So like half of this landmass is basically already fallen to Chaos Cults, and the other half have got it under control. And as this cult's rising, everyone's kind of like, why is this happening now? And as Primus kind of falls, that is when the Devourer of Stars appears in the system, which is Angron's ship. So the first war of Armageddon is between Angron, the World Eaters, and demons against Logan Grimnar, Space Wolves, Grey Knights, and the Steel Legion. So what happens is Chaos of the World Eaters fall. They deploy into Prime, Armageddon Prime. It's basically theirs for the taking. The World Eaters butcher like most of the population. And then instead of pushing into Secundus to secure the planet, they just start building loads of like skull thrones and altars. And this gives the Imperium time to send the Space Wolves to save the day, Grimnar lands in Secundus, manages to build up like a resistance, whilst the Cornate side is just, I don't know, swimming in blood and building skull
Getting
thrones.
distracted.
Yeah, which is great for the writers, because otherwise Angron would have just taken Armageddon, and this would have been a very short podcast. Grimnar like builds up this massive army, walks it through the jungle, and is ready like on the edge of the jungle. Comes out. Grimnar fucks shit up as he normally does, but Angron's on the other flank, and Angron pushes through the jungle in the other direction. And that's when Grimnar realizes that there's only so much he can do, and he calls down the Grey Knights, and the Grey Knights teleport in 103 Grey Knight Terminators.
Nice. Very
which
specific
must be
number.
a pretty cool thing.
Who were the
Oh,
extra
sorry,
three?
109.
109.
109. I
Okay,
got
there's
that
a couple
wrong.
extras, yeah.
Yeah, you needed those extra six.
6 more, that'll make all the
Those
difference.
the 9 are reserves, aren't they? They sit on the bench and wait.
Grey Knights are obviously badass. They're who you call when you've got demons. They're the demon Ghostbusters. And the boss at the time is called Taramar Aurelian. And obviously they love their numbers because he successfully banishes Angron for exactly 100 years and 1 day.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
really sore
Makes,
point adding that extra day.
Yeah, exactly. It's because he knows he loves that 101 Dalmatians movie and it just fucks with him.
And out of the 109 Grey Knight Terminators, only 30 survive. So it's a high cost, but Armageddon is saved. The demons are routed. And this is where it gets really dark. Everybody, including the vast majority of the Steel Legion that fights in this war, everyone that is human and not Space Marine, is rewarded for successfully defending Armageddon by sterilization and work camps where they're not allowed to leave. So all of the heroes of Armageddon are forcefully imprisoned, sterilized, or murdered. And as if that wasn't enough, all 3 planets within a set distance of Armageddon are destroyed. Over several billion human souls killed to keep this whole thing a secret.
Oh, so it's just to keep it a secret?
Just to keep it a secret. Because
but why do they want to keep it that much of a secret? Surely there's loads of crazy shit. This isn't
demons have to be
like
kept
this isn't
secret.
even the worst thing that people would know about. Surely,
I guess that's that. I guess
why are they
that's
killing everybody that witnessed their horrible war?
Because that's what the
crimes?
Inquisition do, Stoney.
Oh,
you
okay,
believe
I
in
guess
propaganda.
No,
when you were saying
Grimnar
that,
hates it.
It did. Yeah, I don't blame him. I mean, it did kind of make me think. Like, actually, you'd have thought they could have turned it into a big propaganda victory. Like, okay, we just banished Angron, the demon Primarch. But you're right. You have to keep the demon secret.
Well, I mean, but it could come down to we'll come back to this loads.
So does this
that hidden history? They don't want eyes on Armageddon.
Well, Steel Legion, they're obviously pretty relevant at the moment. Are they? So did they exist anywhere else, or is this all the Steel Legion? Are they? Is the current state until the new model release potentially of the Steel Legion that they're all mindless zombies being made to work on Armageddon?
No, they're not like that now.
No, so this is just. I assume they're birthing some people. And
but I mean, all the ones,
of.
the veterans of this war, did they all get like the all?
This
what
is
happened
very
with the Steel
early.
Legion?
This is very early. Yeah, we'll get into.
Okay, all right, cool. All right.
Don't worry about the Steel Legion.
Don't worry, Steady.
Right,
that little summary there was War 1 of 3, and I think Matt's going to take us through what happens next.
It's only a game, so put up a real good fight.
Yes, that's right. And when you were running through that, it did. I mean, this could be questionable lore that somebody wants to question us on, or quietly call me out. But I'm sure when Armageddon did get moved, or when it got changed name, so having been teleported, the idea was that it would be banished, so nobody could live there. But as we see throughout Armageddon's history, it seems to get repopulated both with orcs and with humans. It becomes, because it's become this massive hive world. So I think, Stoney, you were saying what happens to the Steel Legion. There must be a point where there's just so many billions of humans on the planet that even though you send all of these troops and people to work camps, the population left just grows exponentially to a point where the people in the camps are forgotten. They die off. Maybe they've been used to help build up some defenses, repair the conflict damage, and the hive city just forgets. There's just so many
It's
humans
definitely
there.
implied that through chats with like Inquisitors, from what I was reading, that the people on Armageddon only think there's been 2 wars, and
Interesting.
and higher up think that there was probably more than 3. So
okay.
this clearing of the knowledge of the first one might not have been the first time that happened, and that's why the Inquisition are so touchy about it, because they just don't want eyes on Armageddon. They don't want
Right.
it. They know there's something fishy about it, and you don't want to draw attention to that.
They should just rename it. I mean, it's all gone wrong when
Nothing
they named
to
it.
see here. Planet, nothing to see here.
You'll be the planet of peace.
Yeah. They should call it the Coca Cabana. No, what's the what's that one?
The
Kokomo. They should call it Kokomo.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's going to get darker still. So make a brew, sit down. I'm going to try and summarize the second and third war for Armageddon. And the story actually begins a bit like Welshies, weirdly, on another world, on a dusty, forgotten world called Taurus 3. A boy is born named Sebastian Varden, and tragically, he's orphaned at 7. He's raised by his maternal grandfather, an old Astra Militarum veteran, in a small community near a hive city. And after 3 years, the orks invade Taurus 3, and he survives alone in his community, hiding from the greenskins, laying traps, killing Gretching, foraging, and getting anything to survive. Several solar months later, a guard unit find him, a 10-year-old on his own, and he takes his name from his grandfather. He takes the name Yarrick.
Oh, who's that?
Following this, he goes to the Scola Progenium, which is the school for orphans. I think it's on Terra, where you go for other things, but you become indoctrinated into becoming a commissar. And because his grandfather fought orcs and his world is invaded by orcs, he learns the orc language, and he slowly becomes an expert in orcs. He's taught by a prisoner.
Isn't New York language just a bad British accent? I thought
that's what he learns.
That's historically what it's been. Like,
yeah, it's a Cockney accent.
Okay, so they're like, hello. And he's like, hello. And he's like, yes. Oh, whoa, we're speaking fluent orc.
Yeah. Like a Cockney chimney sweep. Because he meets, in his early days as a commissar, he meets someone who survived being a prisoner of war of the Greenskins, and he's taught the language. So for various reasons, he's become very interested in orcs, and he studies their mind and how they work. He becomes one of the Imperium's leading experts on orcs, and he serves over a dozen war zones. He serves with regiments from Necromunda and other places in Cadia. And for his final assignment before retirement, his final assignment is to rebuild the 4th Armageddon Steel Legion Regiment, and he travels from his most recent assignment to a planet called Armageddon to become the regimental commissar. Maybe he's rebuilding it because of the First War. I don't know. But in 941 M41, activity in the system of Armageddon orc activity is increasing.
So that's 500 years later.
Okay,
so that's what we're talking about. The first one was 444. So we're talking about 500 years have passed since the First War.
So the Steel Legion Regiment, he must be just there to help rebuild them. And the Steel Legion is something we might discuss in more detail at another time. But it is all of the legions from Armageddon, all of the regiments from Armageddon are Steel Legion. They're like mechanized infantry, hence the name. But at this point, when the orcs are raiding Armageddon star system, the governor is a guy called Overlord Hermann von Strab, and he's very incompetent. The Princeps Prime Curtis Mineham of the Iron Skull's Titan Legion called him the greatest waste of flesh and bone born in the last 500 years. It's funny that there's a 500 years quote then. He's unprepared, and even when a massive Hulk and orc fleet appear in the star system, von Strab does nothing to investigate or report it. And the second invasion of Armageddon begins, and this time it's led by the warlord Gazgul Mag Urk Thraka, which
Yeah.
we
I
should
haven't heard
have.
of any of these people.
Who are these guys? What? This is some sort of obscure lore.
We should cut in the James Workshop voice snippets of being Gazgul.
Alright, me old China, it's the old buddy Gazgul here. Will you have a cup of tea with your jellied eels, mate? After this, why don't we catch a black cab down to the pub and have a knees up on the old piano?
So the orcs crash into the western continent, which is Armageddon Prime, and von Strab, the incompetent planetary governor, sends out his forces piecemeal, just his planetary defense forces, and the orc armies are vastly superior, and they smash them one by one. Armageddon Prime quickly capitulates, and it falls to the orcs.
So that's the second time Prime's fallen.
Yeah,
What's going on at Prime? They should rename them.
Yeah, but that's the one that has less hive cities and a destroyed hive city on. By this point, there's 3 hives on there with 1 destroyed hive. So I guess that explains that reason why the Secundus has more hive cities on. But Commissar Yarrick of the 4th Steel Legion Regiment decides that he is not having any of this. By this time, although he's one of the Imperium's greatest orc scholars, he is just a commissar for a regiment, so he's quite low down. But he decides to ignore the Imperial governor, and he sends out emergency signals across the system and across the sector, and he calls for aid because of the massive orc invasion. And von Strab is really pissed off about this. It's like it goes against his authority. So von Strab decides to strip Yarrick of his command, and he sends him to the hive on Secundus, hive Hades, because he thinks it's going to be out of the way. Von Strab seems to be unconcerned by the loss of Armageddon Prime. He thinks that the jungles that separate the continent will stop the orcs.
This guy is a waste of space.
He is a waste of space because he's also wrong. The Gazgul's forces sweep through the jungle, and von Strab orders the Titan Legion to fight them, but he sends the Titan Legion unsupported by other arms, so the Titan Legion is just destroyed. That's this
fellow, isn't he?
That's Princeps Manaham that called him a useless piece of junk. That's probably why he got sent to his doom. So by this point,
like, well, if we send them a bunch of gift baskets, they won't want to attack us anymore.
Have all these Titans to turn into Gargants and all of your orc war machines. So the orcs sweep past the Titan legions. They storm Hive Infernus. They move southwards and they descend on Hades and Hell's Reach. Von Strab then unleashes his secret weapon. And this is a bit like Dune, but he has a massive personal stockpile of nuclear weapons and virus bombs. And he decides that now is the time that he's going to use his personal arsenal. Because they are so old, they're so old. A lot of them fail, and a lot of them go in all sorts of directions. And he ends up destroying a lot of the imperial defense lines.
Oh my
god! He is like the worst guy that you want to be the planetary. Yeah. So there's accounts of refugee camps, like massive refugee camps, where this first hive fell. So there's probably millions upon millions of people, and getting hit by virus bombs.
It's a good job no one does remember the first one. Can you imagine like working
Yeah,
under
I
Grimnar and
yeah.
then working under this dweeb.
It was
Yeah,
this
you
guy's
go
family
full
that paid
Khorne.
for all those servitor operations or
We
whatever,
haven't
because he
we have not heard the last of this guy, Von Straub. At this point, Hive Hellreach, which will become well known in the next war, falls. The Hive falls to the orcs, and now all the attention falls to Hive Hades, where Yarrick is meant to be hiding in seclusion. But at this point, he becomes the main defender, leading the forces in Hive Hades because he's so because he knows so much about the orcs and he hates the orcs, and he's a commissar and he leads from the front, and he manages to
he's
stir the
everything this other
defenders.
fella, isn't he?
He is,
he's out
yeah,
there.
yeah, he is. He stirs the defenders to fight like they're possessed. And
Hang
at
on
this
a minute.
point,
Just like, well, if they're possessed, they get shot in the head. So,
or they're turning into corn.
yeah.
But at this point, they become a massive distraction for Ghazghkull, which actually works in the Imperium's favor, because at this point the orcs kind of lose they lose their greatest asset, because Ghazghkull is driven by a desire to defeat Yarrick in this hive, because for every tactic that Ghazghkull has learned and throws at Yarrick has a counter, and Yarrick understands Ghazghkull perhaps better than he understands himself, and he becomes
And
personally
a bromance was
tied.
born.
Yes, this is the beginning of the bromance. By this point, the reinforcements that Yarrick called for have arrived. So there's Blood Angels, Ultramarines, Salamanders, and they begin defending other hives.
What's old Von Squib or whatever think about that?
He's coming. Yeah, well, yeah, he
It's like,
doesn't like it.
Oh, I didn't think of that. I probably should have
Yeah.
called the Space Marines when the orcs
Oh, I
landed.
didn't. Yeah,
What a good
actually, I
idea.
did call. I did it. Yeah.
Oh, if only there were some like 8-foot
this
super soldiers we could have called.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Von Straub is effectively has his command taken away, and Commander Dante of the Blood Angels takes over command of the planet and
That's an
command of
upgrade
the
and a
defense.
half.
Yeah, it
little
is. Yeah, just a bit. So Ghazghkull in Hades is completely distracted by Yarrick, and Dante is able to make the proper Astartes moves and starts teleporting all over the place, and the orcs are defeated at various points, and the rumors spread that Ghazghkull is dead, and the orc forces they don't fall apart, but they just start to lose loads of cohesion, and Ghazghkull is sort of out of the picture. And at this point, Yarrick famously fights one of Ghazghkull's warlords, an orc called Ugahard, and this is where he cuts Yarrick's arm off with his claw and thinks that Yarrick is dead or dying because he's just a little Umi. But actually, Yarrick sees the distraction and with his other hand kills the war boss. Well, the orcs around him see this and are just amazed. So Yarrick plays on this by getting the orc war boss's arm cut off and converted into a power claw that he can wear, which is where the power claw comes from. And then, because the fighting is still continuing, Yarrick hears that the orcs are superstitious about this idea of an eye that can kill them with a look. And this is where Yarrick has an eye removed, and he gets an optical implant. I can't remember what they're called. Bio implant. Digital weapon, yeah. Put into his eye, and this is where he becomes known as Bale Eye. So the orcs think that Yarrick can kill them just by looking at them, and he becomes this figure to the orcs that incites fear. And Hades Hive is saved. The war goes on for 6 more months, and with the Space Marines' help, the orcs fall apart. Von Straub is jailed at this point. At some point during those 6 months, they find that his prison's been broken into, and Von Straub has disappeared.
It got that's a light sentence for the Imperium, isn't it? For a guy that loses half of a planet.
I'm surprised Commissar Yarrick didn't shoot him.
Yeah.
But he disappears, and that's not the end or the last we'll hear of him. And I think I seem to remember that that's the setting for one of the last Chance's books is where von Straub is either the orcs are fighting to get him out of prison, or he is already under the orcs in a group of orcs, because basically von Straub decides that the only way that he can get back to his hereditary position of governor is to work with the orcs against the Imperium. And we'll see him again, but he disappears from his jail cell.
So do
And
the
although,
orcs leave, or are they just
well,
kind of
no,
hanging
there's
around?
no, so they're still all over, like in the jungle, because there's there's a bit like Necromunda, like the planet, you can sort of occupy the planet just by having the hives. So the hives are secure, and there's billions of humans on the hives. They obviously need to repair everything and
The
rebuild.
orcs are setting up like racetracks, having like
Yeah.
squig Barbies,
Yeah.
chilling out, waiting for a new warlord to come
hanging
and
out in the
organise
fire
them.
wastes.
Yeah.
They've built a couple of KFC drive-throughs, things like that.
Yeah.
KFS, Kentucky Fried Squigs.
So the Steel Legions will still be driving out in their armored transports and hunting for orc parties. There are orcs everywhere, but because it's pretty secure, Yarrick decides that this is the time he'll finally retire. Then, of course, he hears the rumors that Ghazghkull isn't dead, and that Ghazghkull is trying to rebuild forces out in the galaxy, and Yarrick pursues Ghazghkull with the help of the Black Templars, I think, and this cat and mouse chasing goes on for 10 years, and after which Yarrick corners Ghazghkull in a planet called Golgotha. And really, at this point, we should say that you need to watch the old Baelai animation that was originally on Warhammer Plus, and I'm sure you can see it on the internet now. I watched it again the other day. It's still one of the best things on Warhammer Plus. I love it
It's
so
great,
much.
isn't it? It's a load of orcs sat around a campfire, if you haven't seen it, telling like ghost stories about Yarrick.
Yeah. And it's done in a fun, orky way, but it really it shows you the pedestal that they put Yarrick on. And on Golgotha, where they end up fighting each other, Yarrick is captured by Ghazghkull. He leads a rebellion of POWs, which fails. Yarrick wakes up. He finds that his bionics have been returned to him, and he's greeted by hundreds of orcs. So this has gone on for a couple of years. He's greeted by hundreds of orcs who cheer him on, and he's very confused. And Ghazghkull is waiting for him by a shuttlecraft, and he says to Yarrick that he says, "Good enemies is hard to find," and he lets Yarrick go so that they can continue fighting.
This goes back to what I've always say. Orcs are just loving it. Like this is all just for the orcs. The whole 40k universe is just the orcs world, and everybody else is living in it. They don't give a shit. They don't even care about like revenge or nothing. They're just like, yeah, let him go. Fuck it. It's more fun having him around.
Yeah. So Yarrick is allowed to go. Ghazghkull thinks that's going to be the end, and Yarrick comes back. He gets a load of forces together, Space Marines and Imperial Guard, and they reinvade Golgotha, and this back and forth goes on for ages. And I think by this point he might have his personal Baneblade, which we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, which is called the Fortress of Arrogance. And there are pictures of this that you can see online. People have done conversions. His personal
I didn't know.
Baneblade.
Was there ever a Forge World kit for that, Matt? Or
No,
is it they're all just
no.
homemade ones?
Yeah, but they do look
Some really
really
good
cool.
ones
As I
out
was
there.
saying, so it's black, and actually the ones, these are old now, but the ones you see online have got a lot of gold on, not too dissimilar to that new model that has been previewed. Yarrick at that point thinks that he can retire, and knowing that the fields of Armageddon and the defenses have been rebuilt, reconstructed. The Steel Legions must be still an effective fighting force for Yarrick to be happy to leave them in retirement. A military council has been set up on Armageddon, perhaps also to help flush out those orcs in the jungle. But the orcs start raiding the system again on the 50th year anniversary of the second invasion of Armageddon, the raids turn into a full-on invasion of the Armageddon star system, and the rumors spread amongst the guard that Ghazghkull is returning. A naval task force is sent to try to beat this fleet, and the naval task force is lost. The calls start going out from Armageddon to the sector that there is an orc invasion coming, and the auger probes pick up a massive disruption in the immaterium as this huge orc fleet led by Ghazghkull on the 50th year to the day.
It's their
returns.
anniversary.
Yeah, it is the anniversary. They're here for more fun. And there are over a couple of weeks, there are massive battles in space as the Imperial Navy is driven back towards Armageddon. The fleet becomes outnumbered 6-1, and the Imperial starships are beaten back to the orbit of Armageddon. And at one point, the Orc fleet numbers 2,000 ships and at least 12 space hulks, the largest Orc fleet to be seen in 10,000 years, apparently. So that could be the largest fleet since Horus faced them. So the Navy, by this point, the Imperial Navy don't really exist in the star system, so they're just doing hit and runs. But they encounter dozens of asteroid fortresses, or rocks. The orcs call them rocks. So they're just asteroids that the orcs have turned into enormous spaceships, and they're coming towards Armageddon. The planet's had weeks to prepare, but by now it's kind of on its own. The orcs control space, but there are space marines from 20 chapters dispersed over the surface. There's a couple of defense orbital stations that have been built. One of them is called Mannerheim, after the Titan Legion princeps that was killed, the one that dissed von Strab. One of them is called Dante, and one of them is called Yarrick. The orbital stations above Armageddon fall silent, and millions of guardsmen on the surface are readied. The final transport to land on Armageddon opens, and out strides Yarrick. And
Not retired.
Not retired. He's there. Everyone goes absolutely ballistic.
It's 68 years old for you, son.
Yeah. He's the last person to step off the reinforcement transports. He hasn't been to Armageddon for 20 years.
So how old is
point,
Narek at this point? Like
I don't
200?
know. Yeah. We don't need to worry about that.
Yeah. Time moves different in space, doesn't it? Something about where you go, whatever.
So like I say, there's a military council in command of the planet, but it was led by a guy called General Kurov. He happily hands over command to Yarrick. So Yarrick now takes command of the entire defense of Armageddon. And the final orbital battles are staged. Helbrecht from the Black Templars, he's in command of this stage of the fight in Armageddon's orbit. And this is where is it called Hell's Reach? The animation. Yeah, so the animation with Grimaldus, that is also another worthy watch. That leads into this third war of Armageddon.
Two other massive characters there. I mean, we got Gaz, we've got Yarrick, we've got Helbrecht,
we got everyone.
Well, the Emperor's Champion's going to show. We got Grimaldus.
Grimaldus, yeah.
It's a big. Hell's Reach is great.
Yeah,
it's a book as well. Like you can listen to it. It's really good.
Yeah,
but that animation is
the
fantastic.
animation uses the audiobook, doesn't it?
Yeah. Really good.
So Hades Hive, which is a virtual ruin, is the first to fall to the orcs. Ghazghkull then turns his attention to Hive Hades, and he decides not to fight over it. So he throws giant asteroids at the Hive City that are dropped from massive space hulks, and the population in Hades Hive is flattened, essentially. The ground defenses start being destroyed from the orc ships in orbit, and Yarrick orders all of the remaining aircraft, so all of the remaining Lightnings and other aircraft that we've discussed recently, are ordered to take to the sky to try and take out some of the orc air armada and ships in low orbit. So all of the naval assets by this point on Armageddon are destroyed. And 5 days in, Hive Archeron falls to the orcs without warning because it's been captured from treachery within. And this is where Hermann von Straub
Oh, fucking Straub.
von Straub reappears because he threw his lot in with the orcs, and he's been using the orcs. He's been allowed to take back over this hive world in his effort to reclaim his hereditary position as planetary governor. So he is, and I think this might be the point where the Gav Thorpe Last Chances book is set. The Last Chances, I think, are sort of sent into the hive to try to assassinate von Straub, because although he's useless, he still knows a lot about the defenses in Armageddon, and
Secret
they need to kill
histories,
him
all
off.
kinds of things. You can't. They killed 3 worlds after the first war. Surely they can kill this one dickhead.
Yeah. And most of my notes are taken from the 2001 Armageddon Codex,
Fantastic book.
which is great. But according to this, the a lot of the nobility in Hive Acheron welcomed von Straub because they're all sort of the same ilk. So the imperial hierarchy just welcome him back because they're all hereditary peers, even though they're all controlled by the orcs. And Gazgul has learned a lot of lessons, and a lot of hives have already fallen in the space of a few weeks. And one of the things he learned from the second war, his first war, invading the planet, was that he needed to fight scattered and chaotically, like we associate with orcs. But I don't think that was necessarily what he was doing the first time around, because he's worked out that the Imperial Guard, the Steel Legion, that's when they can't operate. Like if you fight chaotically and all over the place, all at the same time, in ways that make no sense, then the humans can't really counter that. They can't really make sense of it. The regiments are designed to fight.
They're like a move in
regimentally.
front, the Steel Legion, right?
Yeah.
They're like a big straight line, and if you're deviating from that, then
So the orcs counter the guard quite well and the defenses, and then they throw those giant asteroids that the Navy saw in space. They literally hurl them at the planet, and they land destroying stuff, but also they become massive fortresses for orcs. So the orcs turn these asteroids that have landed on the planet into huge fortresses. They've been slowed by powerful force fields and rockets and modified tractor cannon to slow them down. And they mostly land in the equatorial jungles. So the orcs just turn this jungle into like a huge orc fest. Don't know if that means that the necron stuff has been flattened by the orcs, but they also contained massive teleport arrays, and endless gargants come out of these orc fortresses. They also land in the fire wastes, which Yarrick is really confused by.
what are they doing? There's nothing there.
Yeah, there's nothing there. Well, exactly. And weeks later, hundreds of orc submersibles rise from the boiling sea.
Oh.
But kind of behind the Imperial defense lines, they take Hive Tempestora, and Hive Hell's Reach becomes the next target and the next point of attack of the orcs.
You could just imagine that, like, all of the orcs, they've mislanded in Fire Waste. They've gone, shit, there's no fight. There's nobody to fight here. And then they've taken apart all things they've lifted, and then they've ramshackle built some submarines across the water. Like, it's just to get to a fight, because there's nothing in the Fire Waste.
Like, oh, this is a meant to stay. This is the first submarine ever built by an orc. It's like, who gives a shit? Let's just get in it and sail across here. And
why are we at this UNESCO heritage site on our trip? Let's just go to the club.
Yeah. So at this point, although the orcs have been like utterly destroying the Imperial defenses, in a way, the Imperium has kind of known this was going to happen. They knew that as much as they could prepare for it, they would lose the naval battle in orbit, they would lose the air battle in the airspace, and they would lose the ground battle. Really, they're just holding out in the hives. So they've kind of prepared for it. This is a few weeks in, and with the help of the Space Marines, they essentially sort of counter the shock and awe of the orc invasion, and it turns into the beginnings of a war of attrition. And this also helps the Imperium because Gazgul grows bored essentially. Gazgul decides at this point that he's going to fly off Armageddon and just go somewhere go somewhere else to start another war. So the orcs again sort of become a little bit leaderless, and this is where Yarick then chases him again, but this is when he goes with the Black Templars. So I don't know if there's stuff with Helbrecht written about this, but Yarick and the Black Templars go off chasing Gazgul, even though the invasion of Armageddon is still full on. But the Imperium have just ground it into a war of attrition, which they can probably hold out for. At some point, the Navy and the Space Marines will be able to retake the planet, but there's so much resources and human flesh and bone in the hive cities that they can just continue to fight. And the death toll at this point is in the hundreds of billions, apparently. So that 2001 Codex, Armageddon, which has some missions and stuff in it, and kind of is where those Steel Legion metal models and the now outdated Yarick model was released. That sort of ends with an open ending with missions. So it's that point in 40k, it was the current lore. And essentially the War of Armageddon just rattles on and it never really ends. There's never really lore of ending because it's still going on when the blackness arrives and they lose contact with other elements of the Imperium and the Great Rift erupts across the galaxy. So the Armageddon, you could say in a way, is still fighting.
So the box set isn't the fourth War of Armageddon. It's just the continuation of the third war.
Yeah.
It's just like, meanwhile, back on Armageddon.
But I think some of the things you mentioned there is what makes Armageddon so cool. I think the fact you said there was like 20 Space Marine chapters at one point is a real mismatch of defenders at various points. And then you also got the fun that it's orcs. I wonder whether this will lead into because obviously it started, that first one was chaos. And since then it's basically been orcs, and most of its history it was orcs. Whether they're going to write some chaos into this 11th edition stuff.
Why do they not?
Is it going to be worse than just the orcs this time?
Why do they not just blow it up? It feels like every other, some other planets they blow up for way less than this. It feels like.
But the thing that it does do is it does funnel all of the orcs.
Into like a club med for orcs. It's like
but like the Imperium.
This is what I'm saying. It's just what are we here to do? Give orcs a good time. What's going on?
Yeah. But it kind of, it's distracted Gazgul twice now. He would have been off doing other stuff. He could have been invading Terra. So Armageddon,
it's like what they say about Jupiter, isn't it? Like the Earth would have been obliterated 100 times over if Jupiter wasn't in the way. Of just like sucking in the asteroids and just crushing into there. It's like that. It's a speed bump for the war.
Right, I see.
It is a speed bump, and the Imperium has got the resources to fight that sort of attritional battle with the orcs. But the thing that's kind of been leading up to this Armageddon release, as well as and it was leading up to Angron as well, was they did start to mention it in stuff from 8th edition, from the Great Rift. There were mentions in the books where they'd say that demons had started appearing on Armageddon again, and there's definitely references to the Imperial forces and the orcs almost together fighting chaos forces that were appearing on Armageddon. So they definitely, over the last few years, it's definitely sort of been starting to appear in the lore.
It's definitely the way to do it. It's the way to sell models there, isn't it? I mean, I don't think you've not mentioned, and I didn't mention any Sisters of Battle, but clearly they're there in this campaign. It's a great place to just have a bit of everything if you want to do a big trans, non-Necron, non-Tyranid release.
Really, I started with his birth, and I should end with Yarick's death, which was announced in the the 10th edition codex, the 10th edition Imperial Guard codex, had a page dedicated, and it was having a look at it again today. It's like a message announcement printout that's sent around to the troops announcing the death and the ringing of the Bell of Lost Souls in the Imperial Palace to dedicate the life of Yarick. So it's kind of written like an announcement declaring his death. It's kind of made me think that maybe not chaos, but I kind of wonder whether it's like a ploy from Gazgul. It's like a cunning,
or Von Strab's back.
Von Strab, yeah, to because they haven't
like
told us.
you're saying that it was
It's propaganda.
anti-imperial propaganda
Yeah.
to say that Yarick was dead. I think it was somebody at GW thought it was time to kill off Yarick, and they went, "Yeah, let's go for it. We'll come up with someone else," and realised they can't, and that's why the
Yeah,
new model
maybe.
is so boring.
I
Because
think that someone
they
at
just
Games
backtrack.
Workshop had a really good idea for killing off Yarick, and they forgot to finish it off. They wrote that part on the whiteboard, and it was really good. And then somebody leant their back against the completion part and just wiped it all off. And they were like, "Fuck, we set the ball rolling." But I don't even get it, because they released so many models recently as well. They could have put Yarick in with all those releases of models. One of the games is even set on Armageddon, isn't it? The 11th edition. It's so weird they wouldn't put it in with that.
It is very weirdly done.
Yeah.
It's very odd. Just
the
like
whole thing.
It's very odd that they just happened to have some Steel Legion sketches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some stuff that looked a lot like some of Stoney's models as well. Don't forget about that.
Those sketches were ridiculous. Like when everyone moaned about Deathcore of Krieg being in the Armageddon trailer, and then they were like, no, Steel Legion are coming. Look, we've got these like fag packet sketches that any one of our design team could knock up in 30 minutes. They were not planning to bring out Steel Legion. I don't believe it. Because if you were, you'd have them ready for the start for now, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be releasing Cadians.
I don't know. I think the Games Workshop video, I don't think they could have just made that appear from nowhere. I think they knew what the community was going to say, and they prepared that video. I think it's a great video calling out the community and saying, don't worry about the Steel Legion. I think that if it isn't the Mordian Iron Guard, which we'll get onto another time, but they can't do Cadians again. They can't do Krieg again.
You say that, they just released the Cadian kill team. The kill team, the perfect vehicle for doing anything other than Cadian. They've just released yet another Cadian kill team.
That was we'll save that. Yeah, I'll go into that next episode. I think actually there's room for the next Guard Codex in 11th edition to be Mordian or Steel Legion. And I think
that's a wild prediction as Vulcan. You heard it here first.
I think it makes sense. I think they're going to start doing. They just can't do a whole new Cadian army. I think they'll start to do every Guard Codex will be a different.
They're going to chaos it. Do Chaos Divided.
Chaos Divided Guard.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Like there's going to be different books for different legions.
Oh, they could do that, but I just meant like just the 11th edition codex. I don't know why they've rushed Yarick out like this, but yeah, I think we'll see the Steel Legion. I think they could make them quite distinctive to the Krieg models, and we'll go into that at some point. I can lecture you about how.
Yeah, that's enough lecturing for one day on Krieg, right, or whatever. Yeah. What was it? What were we even talking about? I can't remember. So obviously Armageddon is going to be big business in 11th edition. So what do we think is going to be happening in Armageddon? Where do we think this tale is going to twist next?
I think that you see Krieg in the video because Krieg, the regiments from Krieg are perfect for being in defense lines and defensive formations. And I think there'll be a video maybe after 11th edition drops with the box set. Guard will be one of the first codexes, and it will be like the Death Corps of Krieg have held the line. They're the perfect regiments to hold the line, and now the counterattack is led by Commissar Yarick and the Steel Legions in the transports. They'll be screaming over the defense lines. They'll be on the offensive against the orks, and that will be like the big Guard release,
Okay.
and I think then
So
then
all your
you'll get
favourites are
Vulcan.
going to team up for one mega
Yeah, they're all
mega
gonna tag
model
together.
push. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see.
and then
I can see
Vulcan
them
will
liking
appear.
that. Yeah, Vulcan. Obviously, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
I think Von Straub's gonna forget his password for his orc-based porn collection. You know, he wants to look at those old Blood Bowl
Big orc
cheerleader
titties.
orcs.
Yeah,
big orc
yeah,
titties.
yeah.
He's gonna
Is it
put
that
in the
vintage
wrong.
shit?
He's gonna put in the wrong
The
password.
massive bushes on those orcs
That's it.
cheerleaders
That's
back
what
in
he
the
wants,
day.
and he's so excited by it that he just hits the wrong buttons on his keypad, and it actually awakens the Necron tomb world that's been slumbering under Armageddon, and we're gonna get the
Why did he put that
Eldar
next to the
coming in.
vibrate button? Ah!
Von Straub is going to awaken a tomb world, and the Eldar are going to come and exterminate us Armageddon.
My predictions are, I think it's going to turn it around, you know. I think that it's going to become a nice place to live. I reckon all these boys will take their nonsense to another planet, and they're going to turn it around. If all the citizens there, they're going to get picket fences. The sea of boiling blood, or the valley of ruptured testicles, or whatever it is all going to get nice. They're going to, you know, turn that into a community garden. It's going to be all lovely.
Oh
Wow.
shit! More serious idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know who fucking loves fire, and you know what fire wastes haven't been investigated?
Oh,
What?
Vulcan.
Vulcan. He's going to be out there.
Fire.
He's going to be a part of it. He's going to be out there
waste?
exploring for new butterfly species in the fire wastes or whatever. This is what I'm talking about. It's going to all get turned around.
Keep a gold chain on my neck, fly as a jet. Boy, better treat me with respect.
So welcome everybody to this, the Lords of Law, where I pit Matt and Welshie against each other to find out who is the Lord of Law. And we've talked big game about Armageddon, right, boys? But who really knows the most about Armageddon?
Matt, I reckon.
Yeah,
on this
probably.
one. Normally
Okay.
I back myself in the Lords of Law, but
Well, you've got to do it because, I mean, let's face it, we had a bit of a shaky start with some of our research earlier, where Welshie, you were talking about some other planet or something. We've pulled it back a little bit, but now it's time to really round things off with this, the most well-researched Armageddon quiz known to man. So, question number 1. What was the size of the asteroid on collision course with Earth? Was it A, the size of Alaska, B, the size of Texas, the size of California, or D, the size of Manhattan?
Manhattan.
Yeah, the first one was Manhattan, wasn't there too? Yeah, Manhattan.
Okay, well, you're both wrong. It was the size of Texas.
Oh, that's way bigger.
Yeah. What profession was Harry Stamper, aka Bruce Willis, and his crew
A
in?
miner.
Yeah.
What do you mean, deep core oil drilling?
Yeah, I mean that, yeah.
Then you would both be right. Have a point. What song did Aerosmith record for the film soundtrack that became a #1 hit? Was it A, Sweet Emotion, B, Leaving on a Jet Plane? Was it C, Born to Run, or D, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing?
D.
You're both right. What were the name of the 2 space shuttles used in the mission? Freedom and Independence, Columbia and Challenger, Liberty and Patriot, and Apollo and or Orion.
Freedom and Independence.
Yeah, what was the first one?
Freedom and Independence,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
That's right. Man, it's like you could almost write itself, almost, couldn't it?
Yeah.
So, what was the
Yeah.
name of the Russian? So, this is the last question, by the way, and as you know, it's worth 10
Yevgeny
billion points.
Ruskin.
What was the name of the Russian cosmonaut who stayed on the Russian Mir space station? Was it A,
Sebastiansky Yariki.
Yevgeny Ruskin. Vladimir
Konstin-
Domsky.
Konstin Povolov.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to have to give it to Matt because it does end with an Ovolov. So it's Lev Androvolov. So Matt, you take away this. You win today's Armageddon-based quiz as predicted
Sweet.
by Welshie, which means he really wins the quiz because that was the true quiz at the first. Who's going to win? So you both win. Everybody wins. And we'll see you next time. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.